Show here on WSGW. After the 10 o'clock news this morning, we'll have open phones for the hour at 11 o'clock. Peace Lutheran School folks are going to be here to talk about their trunk or treat event. But for this hour, we're going to meet a candidate in the 35th District Senate race. He's on the Democratic ticket. Most people, if you were a surgeon, you would have a pretty nice resume there, and that's where it would end. Not my guest this morning. He's got the surgeon. He's also got police officer, now candidate, and who knows what else he does for fun, but we say good morning to Dr. Martin Blank. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, thanks for being with us, Doc. Nice to have you here. It is true, before we get into the politics and all that stuff, how long have you been a surgeon now?
No, it's about 30 years.
What in the world, and I'm in the support unit for the Sheriff's Department, and I remember some of the guys talking about it. What in the world made you, after all those years as a surgeon, go to the police academy and actually get sworn in and do duty?
Well, it started when I was about 59. I looked in the mirror one day, and there was my father. And then I noticed I was shuffling as I was walking. I'm like, nope, this is not going to happen. So I thought, what would be the best way to get in shape and not get old? And I decided it would be going to the police academy.
There's probably a lot of things you could have done other than go to the police academy.
In retrospect, I think you're right.
But you did spend a couple of years in the city.
Mm-hmm. 2.5 years in the city. Yeah.
And you did duty. I mean, how in the world do you work a full-time police schedule in with a surgeon schedule?
Well, the surgery schedule is call. It's mostly just being on call. And so I had my full-time police schedule, and when I wasn't working as a police officer, I would fill in for trauma at Covenant and now my Michigan.
I remember hearing about it going, okay.
It worked so.
Well, it worked out for you, obviously.
Yeah.
That's true. So now you must have looked in the mirror again and saw your dad running for political office.
Yeah.
What brought you to this point where you declared as a candidate?
Well, I had run before for office. I had actually started preparing to run for office about 20 years ago. I filed to run for the House of Representatives in Ingham County. That would have been about 2004. I had returned from a deployment. I thought I really wanted to become, a state representative. I went out campaigning for a couple of weeks. I took my kids with me. I made one the campaign manager, another one the treasurer. And it was a lot of fun.
Family affair.
Yeah, but I realized I didn't understand the issues. So I withdrew, and I started studying. About 2005, I started studying on my own, and I learned a lot about education and other topics, but I didn't really feel like I was learning enough, so I felt like I needed a formal program. I was in the Army Reserve at the time. I went to War College, and that's when I started. I've been a full-time student pretty much since War College, which was 2007, I think.
That's a surgeon's life, so you're always a student, aren't you? I mean, it's continuing education.
I love it. I tried stopping a couple times and I missed it. I just really enjoy it. But the topics I've studied have really all been for the purpose of becoming an effective legislator. I studied law, focused the next year on constitutional law, next year on tax law, accounting, strategic studies, everything that I thought I would need to be an effective legislator. 2 degrees from economics. I feel really well prepared to do this.
So you were getting degrees during this time?
Yes, sir.
Not just opening a book and reading something.
No, I tried that, and I would just fall asleep. I needed the pressure of exams and teachers, and so I've stayed in school since then.
If you think back to your days in medical school, were you the same way?
No, I flipped a coin for medical school. I was trying to decide what to do. I worked in a family business. It was an auto parts store, and I wasn't sure what to do. There was a nickel on the counter. I flipped it. Heads medical school, tails law school. It came up medical school, and off I went. But I really didn't enjoy it. I really wanted to be a lawyer.
Really?
Yeah.
But yet you stuck with it. If you really wanted to be a lawyer, why didn't you just go do it?
Well, I went in right between second and third year. I spoke to a hospital attorney. I said, I really think I made a mistake. I think I'd be happier in law. And he sent me to an attorney in Detroit. Took me out to dinner, and we talked about it, and he said, you can do both, but you'll be a mediocre doctor and a mediocre lawyer. You really shouldn't do both, so pick one. and I was already so far into medical career that I didn't want to switch.
Yeah. And trauma surgery has always been your...
No, I kind of fell into that, but I really enjoy it now.
And, when you look at the medical profession today, is it the same one you got into 30 years ago?
It's similar, like the medicine's the same. The science is a little better, but pretty much day to day, it doesn't change much. There's just a lot more administrative hurdles to deal with.
Yeah, like everything else in life, huh?
But I'm not complaining. Both hospitals are very good. They both treat me very well, but it's different.
So you're a candidate now on the Democratic ticket for the 35th, which took long enough to open up. The governor, for a lot of reasons, didn't call for a special. What do you see as the leading issues? What's number one on Martin Blank's list?
The three things that I focus on: one is protecting middle-class families, two, defending farmers, and three, which is the most important one, I really want to crush MAGA at the polls, because to me, the current administration is the problem. There's only so much you can do to protect families, to fix the economy. There's only so much you can do when you have these outrageous tariffs and the trade war. We have to say it, but you have to give Democrats in office at every level of government. I realize that as a state senator, the things that I've been focusing on, and I get criticized for it all the time, the things I focus on are really the federal issues, but we can't fix the state issues until these dominant federal issues are taken care of.
And the Republicans will say you have to have Republicans in office all the time.
They will. I used to. I used to be a Republican. Yeah.
Were you really?
Yeah.
So what changed?
Trump.
Really?
Yeah. I couldn't belong to a political party that supported Trump. I felt that he is dishonest and lacks integrity, and that he really has no role, should not have a role as a president of the United States.
Well, half the country disagreed with you.
I can't believe that, but it is true.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah.
It's very true.
I hear it every day.
And, there's a lot of folks who feel the issues that he went after were probably good issues. Sometimes it's the way he does it and his bravado, his personality that gets in the way. Would you agree with that? Some of the issues deserved attention?
The only issue that I would agree with was the southern border needed to be closed. But the way he's handling undocumented immigrants is really atrocious. He's systematically dismantling the framework of our government. He's violating the Constitution all the time. He's violated the First Amendment by pressuring media executives to fire talk show hosts. He's violated the Fourth Amendment with these roundups going into apartment buildings without warrants, arresting people, some of them Americans, detaining them. He's violated the Fifth Amendment due process by not letting some of these arrestees speak to attorneys. He's trying to suppress the vote. He's making registration for voting very difficult, requiring passports or an official birth certificate. Most Americans don't have passports. A lot of Americans can't get their official birth certificate. Sometimes it's their own fault, but there are times when some people just can't do it. There isn't a lot of voter fraud. It's not like an epidemic that needs to be handled this way. Married people, married women who change their name, they could have trouble having a birth certificate that matches their driver's license. Younger people who are at college who are going to vote for the first time, they're not going to have a passport, probably won't have a birth certificate with them. That's just one example of the voter suppression. The one that
then
really.
How do we ensure that the people voting have the right to vote?
How do we ensure that the
people voting have the right to vote?
They should have the right to vote.
No. You're not hearing what I'm saying. If you don't have any measurement of citizenship, how do you know the people voting are citizens that have the right to vote as opposed to someone illegally in the country who doesn't have a right to vote? How do you separate them?
There just hasn't been a wide spread examples of people who are not citizens voting. It has not really been an issue. It's not the problem. It's really an attempt to try and suppress voters, and those voters who are mostly affected are Democrats. It's just like the mail-in voting. President Trump, like, he has no authority as the President of the United States to try and impact how elections are held. That's a state issue. However, he's using executive orders to try and rewrite election rules, which he's not allowed to do. But he's trying to eliminate mail-in voting. And why? Because most people, or Democrats, are more likely than Republicans to use mail-in voting. And the one worry that I have, is the deployment of troops into states, into Democratic states. I believe it's a prelude to troops being deployed for elections. I believe President Trump is going to do whatever he has to, wherever he feels he has to try and stay in power, more than his allotted terms. Putting troops into the polling stations, it may intimidate some people. I've had people tell me that they wouldn't vote if there was troops there, but most people aren't going to be intimidated. What it does is it slows down the voting process. It ties up the area. There'll be protests. There'll be bottlenecks. There'll be streets closed, parking lots closed. It'll make voting longer. There's people who go to vote and they leave work. Myself, I've always left work to go vote. Who has hours to spend in line voting? Most people don't. And I think that that's what is coming for the 2026 midterms.
We've had that, though. I mean, that's not new. We've had that for decades.
Had what?
Lines, polling lines. Yeah. Depending where you lived and how fast the polling place took in people and how many machines they had. I mean, there's always been lines. Here's my question to you, though. And I understand what you're saying about the fact that what you believe is happening will impact Democrat voters. Others would say to you that's why the Democrats wanted the southern border open, because most of those people coming into the country they feel would be Democrats. So they'd stack their voting, if you will.
But if they were undocumented immigrants, they're not going to be able to vote.
Well, but the question was, how long before they get certain rights and all of that? I mean, I get my point is both sides play the game. And, and depending what side you're on, you like it or you don't like it. And I understand that.
I don't think anybody's ever played the game like President Trump plays the game, though.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not. But he's limited. No matter what he says, he's out at the end of his term. There's not going to be a third Trump presidency.
I think I would disagree. I think that there's a possibility.
How.
Well, he's done a lot of things. How could some
the courts
of the things?
Won't allow. The Supreme Court won't allow that.
Well, I think
even though it's his court.
Yeah, I think they have done a lot of things which were really unimaginable until recently, until Donald Trump. And so I would not write off the idea that he's going to stay in term. He has said that he's going to try and stay in power.
Yeah, and then he said he wouldn't. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, let's put it this way. I don't lose any sleep over that.
Mm-hmm. I do. That's actually how I ended up running. That's exactly how I ended up running, because I was watching YouTube videos at night, getting madder and madder, to the point I had to turn off the news, turn off the YouTube, and one day I just said, I'm going to try and do something. I don't know if I can win. I don't know how it'll go, but I have to try and do something.
Listen, that's what the country needs, people to run for office. Mm-hmm. I don't care what your bent is. Country needs good people to run for office, so we have good, legitimate choices. That's what it's all about, really. All right, got to take a quick break. We'll come back with Martin Blank, Democratic candidate for the 35th District Senatorial seat in Michigan.
Did you know you can bring the extraordinary
And we're back with you here on the Art Lewis Show. In studio with me, Dr. Martin Blank, who is a trauma surgeon and candidate on the Democratic ticket for the 35th Senatorial District here in Michigan. That, of course, is the district that has an unfilled position with the movement of Krista McDonald-Rivet into Congress. And it opened up the 35th. And now on February 3rd will be the primary for the 35th seat. Dr. Blank working on the Democratic side. Let's look at some of the issues, Martin. You mentioned education as one of your issues. What do you say to people who say, look, here in Michigan, we have some of the highest cost of education. We spend probably more dollars than many, many states. Yet our return on investment is poor. We're down like 43rd in the nation. How do we fix that? Is money the answer?
No, the money's not the answer. Of course, more money would help to some degree, but the real issue is getting children and families involved in education at early age. The Pre-K for All program would be helpful. Programs like Head Start and Great Start are helpful. The issue, I think, is really getting parental involvement at a very early age. I've been into the schools as a police officer. I was in the schools and talking to children, and I'd have to have them write a statement, and they could barely write, and it was illegible. These are middle school kids. They have to get involvement in education at a very early age. They can't catch up. You could offer children free college, and if they haven't had the fundamentals, they're not going to do well. So we have to find a way to get them doing better earlier.
Parent involvement, critical. I mean, when I grew up, I probably saw my mother in school more than I did at home. She was active in the PTA and all of those things. And that's been a real issue, getting parents involved. And part of that is because they're all working now and doing, it's a different world, isn't it?
It is. When I was a kid, there really wasn't a discussion. The expectation was I was going to do well. If I come home from school, I'm going to get my homework done. My brother and sister did well in school. My parents, they weren't mean about it, but there was an expectation that we were going to do well, and we did. That expectation doesn't exist for a lot of families.
What do you see as the role of social media, good or bad, in all of this?
Bad. Social media.
It was quick.
I mean, it hurts everything. You wonder, like, how can the political parties become so polarized? And I think the biggest factor is the social media. How could a Donald Trump have the voice he has now if it wasn't for social media? Same on both parties. I'm not trying to just blame Donald Trump.
No, I understand.
So the social media hurts, and I don't know the statistics, but I think it's a couple hours a day that people spend scrolling on their phone. It takes away from more productive things. It takes kids away from studying. The kids that I see, they don't study. They go to school. They're in school, but when they come home, they're doing the bare minimum.
Right now, they can sit down at the computer and tell AI to write a paper for them.
Yeah, that's right. Probably be pretty good too.
Probably. I remember, I used to hate that. Having to sit down and write a paper, but you did it because it was required. And my parents wouldn't let me get away with it if I didn't do it.
I didn't like school. Even college, I dropped out. I went for 2 terms and dropped out. Thought I'd never go back. I didn't even withdraw. I just left. And when I decided to go back to school, I had like 4 Fs I had to deal with. But I didn't like it, and a lot of people don't like it.
Yeah, but it's there's a lot of things in life we don't like, but we have to deal with.
Well, when I had a taste of reality, I realized that going to school and getting a degree is a better life. Unfortunately, we aren't preparing our kids to be able to go get that degree and to become doctors or lawyers. We really have to catch them early. We have to get parents involved. I know there's no easy solution, but that's what we have to focus on. And that's not necessarily a money issue. I think the teachers that I've met at the schools are great. I don't think it's a teacher issue. I think it's really just...
I have this philosophy, you may or may not agree with it. To me, local school boards have the control. Do we need the state telling us how to teach and what to teach? the state has some role in education to ensure certain equalities and all of that. But I just see too much control leaving local, going to more centralized, and I'm not a fan.
I think you have to have the state deciding what is taught, not because they necessarily do everything perfectly, but I think that if left to their own actions, local governments will have different focus than what the state will. They could focus on religious issues or...
I guess my view of it is if the state wants to say, in order to graduate, you have to have reading, writing, arithmetic, and the basics, that's fine. Set the criteria. But today, for example, you talk to a lot of teachers, they're teaching to the test rather than the subject.
Mm-hmm.
And that's primarily because the state has said you will have these tests, you will do this, 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 and we're going to measure you when you do this, this, and this. It just seems to me to be wrong. Now, I'm not an educator. I don't know all the details, but that's the way I view it.
I think that I would just be afraid to leave individual local governments to make decisions about all the children's education. I know there shouldn't, teaching to the test is not good, but there should be some guidelines.
Okay, we'll take a break. Come back, talk more. We're talking to Martin Blank, Democratic candidate for the 35th Senatorial District in Michigan.
Hi, this is Barb Hanley-Miller.
Back with you, we're talking to Dr. Martin Blank. He's a trauma surgeon, but also a Democratic candidate in the 35th Senatorial District. Will be in the primary on February 3rd. And then I think it's May when the general is held after it, the full election. So I want to go back a little bit here, Martin. What motivates you in politics? It's one thing to be a surgeon, police officer, and all that. It's quite another to be a politician who throws yourself out there into the public eye and has to put up with the political nonsense today on both sides. What motivates you to want to be a politician?
It's really pretty simple. I feel that we have to nonviolently, through our vote, remove the Republican administration, or we're going to continue to face these problems. They're not issues. They care about issues, but their goal is different. There's something that drives MAGA and President Trump. They're different issues for the two of them, but there is something that drives MAGA that's beyond political issues. I believe they want to engineer a new American society in their image. They want to marginalize freedom-loving Americans like myself. They want the America to be as they view it. I realize everybody wants to see America as they want to see it. It's different. The Project 2025 really set the stage. It showed people what the Republican Party, in particular MAGA and President Trump, are trying to do.
There are a lot of people who thought the country was going in the wrong direction before, which is why he's in office.
That's true. I mean, a lot of people, I ask myself day in and day out, how are people supporting him? How does MAGA support him? How do they ignore all of the dishonesty and all the problems that have been created? I realize you may not agree with it, but to me, the problems are huge, and primarily President Trump is responsible.
All right, what are some of those problems, just out of curiosity?
Well, the economy is one. That was really unsound tariff policy, and this unnecessary trade war is really hurting everybody, especially farmers. I just saw statistics, hope I have it right, 46% decrease in agricultural exports of soybean meal, 89% wheat, 62% for cherries, 58% for apples. Our farmers are really being hurt.
What do you say to people who say, hey, we were taken advantage of for all these years, it's about time we level the playing field?
Well, if we were taken advantage, we allowed it to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
But the answer isn't tariffs. Tariffs is going to hurt everybody. And the trade war is going to hurt everybody. inflation is starting. There's been monthly increases in inflation. There's no way to prove exactly what's causing it, but I believe the tariff policy is the number one reason that we're facing inflation, and it's going to get worse. And you look at who pays the tariffs. President Trump told Americans that the foreign companies are paying the tariffs. They don't pay the tariffs. The tariffs are paid by the importers at the point of entry. No.
Tariffs are paid by people.
Tariffs are paid by people.
Taxes are paid by people. Government has no money that we don't give it.
Right.
Whether it comes directly through our taxes or whether it's through what we purchase from companies that include tariffs, it doesn't matter. It comes out of our pocket.
Absolutely.
Period.
Right. So the $30-something billion a month that are taken in, at least 80% of it is coming from consumers and importers. There are some exporters who have lowered their prices to ease the effect of the tariffs, but about 80% of that tariffs are paid by us. Either you pay it through higher prices at the store, or the businesses pay it, or the importers pay it, and they lose profits.
True of everything.
Yeah.
It's true of everything. Take our last break, come back, and do one more segment with our guest, Martin Blank. Dr. Blank is the candidate on the Democratic ticket for the 35th Senatorial District in the state of Michigan, and he faces a primary in February 3rd, I believe it is. Let me take a moment to talk about winter, because, here in Michigan, we get winter, and when the snow comes and the ice comes, it presents driving challenges. And one way to prepare for it is to make sure you have the right tires on your car. And remember that winter tires are different. And you can get tires at Quick Lane in Freeland at McDonald Ford. And remember, they sell tires for just $5 over cost. And if you want to know what the difference is, here's John from Quick Lane to tell you about it.
Hello, Art. Yes, winter tires are made with a pliable rubber compound that includes silica to stay flexible and maintain grip in freezing temperatures, unlike harder all-season tires which stiffen and lose traction in the cold. This flexible compound allows the tire to better conform to the road surface, providing superior grip and traction on snow and ice to keep you safe.
Thanks, John. Stop in today to Quick Lane Freeland, have them check your tires, and while you're there, have them also check your cooling system, because, in winter, you need a good cooling system. Make sure you don't freeze up. McDonald Ford also has all the new models of Fords. And, oh, by the way, Thursday, October 23rd, which, if I'm right, that's this Thursday, from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m., McDonald Ford is going to have a trunk or treat event. Candy, games, interacting trunks, food by big hearty fillies. They'll have bounce houses, obstacle courses. It's all free. It's a good family event. 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at McDonald Ford, 6790 Midland Road in Freeland, also the home of Quick Lane Freeland, where you can have your tires and cooling system checked. We'll be back.
I have with me Jeff Carrick from M.
All right, we're back with you. One final segment with Dr. Martin Blank, candidate for the 35th Senatorial District in Michigan on the Democratic ticket. Couple of other issues I want to talk about just for a minute. One of the things, and you know this well, having served as a police officer, we have, I think, a significant problem in mental health in this country. And we don't seem to be paying the kind of attention to it that it deserves. What say you as a doctor and former police officer?
I think that there is a lot of attention paid to it. especially as a police officer, we receive a lot of training, and people come